find out what geological features and events make Palos Verdes Peninsula what it really is today. So stick around. So, believe it or not, the entire Palos Verdes Peninsula was once underwater, underneath the Pacific Ocean. Eventually, seismic and volcanic activity allowed sedimentary deposits beneath the sea to occur, and land masses slowly rose from the sea. It originally joined the Channel Islands, and as a reminiscent of these island days, Palos Verdes still shares many flora and fauna otherwise exclusive to the Channel Islands. But geology soon took action, and tectonic uplift and sedimentary deposits built up the shallows enough to connect Palos Verdes to the mainland. But this formation did not happen evenly. Instead, it left a somewhat stairway of marine terraces along Palos Verdes coast. So let's take a closer look. The PV marine terraces are due to accelerated but uneven rising of the terrain. Now, the rising was actually quite fast on geological standards, if 6.8 centimeters a century can be called fast. And after just about 2.8 million years, you can see the PV marine terraces. But now, after this, I have another stop planned. This is the Monterey Formation. The Monterey Formation is a large assemblage of rocks that stretches through much of Southern California. As you can see, there are many landslides that help compose the Monterey Formation, and these landslides happen for various reasons. One, waves can erode the bottom of the hill and cause the rocks on top to fall. Two, wave erosion can simply just erode enough of the slope to give the rocks space to go, and gravity pulls them down. And three, some rocks, such as bentonite, act as weak points where the rocks can slide, especially if it rains and water seeps into those rocks. This formation is composed of three main types of rocks: Altamira shale, Valmonte diatomite, and Malaga mudstone. So let's start hiking down to the beach. So, when you look around, you can see blocks of granite put here. And those are actually blocks of granite riprap put here to protect the coast from the waves and to prevent landslides. But did you know that this granite is not local to Palos Verdes and has to be trucked in? But now, let's head south and we'll come across a rather remarkable landslide. As you can see here, this roadblock has detached and slid into the ocean by landslide and wave erosion. This is just another example of landslides and erosion taking place on the coast. However, I have another stop planned, a place called Terranea Beach. Here we are at Terranea Beach. Now, what you see is not one, but two faults intersecting. Actually, you can see a distinguishable line between the two faults. You can also see some offset bedding that distinguishes where faults collide. In addition, there's some crumbled rock around them, and that's what geologists call catacassolite. And it's another clear sign of two faults intersecting. But now, some of you who have been here before may have also noticed a small gully full of plants. Well, that's just where we're going. This is a gully. And this gully is a result of the fault action in this area, which grinds up these rocks and turns them into a weakness that water can flow through. And that water allows plants and other vegetation to grow there. But that's not even the most exciting part. This, a sea cave. Now you are not only looking at a sea cave, but a fault as well. Look around the walls. It's more catacassolite. In addition, little pieces of shipwreck have been washed up to shore. In addition, look at the walls. See how smooth they are? That's the result of years upon years of wave erosion, smoothing out the walls of the cave. Here we are at the Portuguese Bend. The Portuguese Bend is a 399-acre reserve preserved back in 2005. From here you can see rolling hills, steep canyons, rock outcrops, and five different canyons to be precise. We're going to be taking this loop trail path, which I'll display on screen now. Seems like a lot, so let's get hiking. Now, did you know that a fire actually burnt through this place back in August of 2009? Since then, many restoration projects have been put in place. People have helped out by pulling weeds, replacing damaged plants, and monitoring species counts. See that? That's called Adler's Cliff, and you can actually hike up to that cliff. And it offers one of the most spectacular views of the Portuguese Bend that you'll ever see. See that road back there? It's actually on top of a landslide. But that's not the only landslide. The entire Portuguese Bend is actually one huge landslide. And in fact, the city pays a whopping $500,000 just to keep that road in service. Landslides can cause major damage that costs millions to fix, but that's just part of living on the coast. Speaking of the coast, there's a place called Malaga Cove that's on the coast, and that's also another great geological stop. This is the trail to Malaga Cove, or Rat Beach. This is sadly our last stop for this video, but this stop holds lots of potential, so let's get hiking. So you may ask why I'm making a big deal about this outcrop, but that's because it's what's known as an angular unconformity. Now it may sound odd and complicated because of its name, but it really isn't. An angular unconformity is an erosion surface that's been buried beneath gravel and rocks. As you can see, the rocks on top are far younger than the rocks on bottom and were deposited far earlier. As for the rocks on bottom, they were deposited, then solidified and began to tilt. Eventually, they got eroded away into the outcrop you see here. But what is an angular unconformity and why is it such a big deal? Well, an angular unconformity marks a significant break in the geological record, which is basically a period where no rocks are eroded and no sediment is deposited. The rock you see is called diatomite. And something special about this rock is that it's actually made by a type of algae called diatoms. So that is proof that these rocks were once underwater and have since been elevated out of the water. Sound familiar? Well, there's more diatomite up ahead, but this diatomite is special because it's actually part of a rock slide. See this diatomite? It's part of what's called a rock slide. A rock slide is where a massive rock slides down a hill as a whole, not breaking apart. However, a rock fall is a lot more chaotic. The rocks fall off the cliff face and shatter everywhere. Quite a difference if you tell me. But anyways, I have to end the video here, so I really hope you learned something, and I strongly encourage you to come visit one of the sites featured in this video. Thanks for watching.